Somebody speak up. When you woke up this morning, what else? When you started training, young men, your tryout started when you took your first breath.
Welcome to another episode of Different Basketball Podcast hosted by Jordan Mount. Today we have a great conversation with Purdue Boilermaker Jared Wolbron. First, let's get to a word from our sponsors, Dr. Dish. Are you ready to get your jumper right? Are you ready to become the deadly three-point shooter you've been born to be? Are you a coach wanting to improve your team shooting? Look no further than Dr. Dish. Dr. Dish's state-of-the-art technology can help any team become better shooters and better players. Don't miss out on the opportunity as Division 1, 2, 3, junior colleges, high schools, and pros like Luka Doncic are taking advantage of this opportunity. Go ahead and go to Dr. Dish's website to find more information. And without further ado, let's get to a conversation with Jared. Today on the show, we have Jared Wolbron, good friend of mine. We kind of got a mix up from our TBL family. We got Jared here. Jared plays at Purdue. Jared, man, welcome to the show.
Appreciate you for having me, man. Took a while.
So it did take a while. We've been planning this out since the middle of the summer, but we got it done.
Busy people.
So me and you both have a pretty big Purdue connection. Mostly my family. I wasn't good enough to play there, which is okay. I'm kind of hurt by it, but what's it like being a Boilermaker, and what's the Purdue family meant to you?
I love it. Obviously, I didn't start here. This is my second year here as I'm going into my junior year. Started at Division III school, wanted to play a lot out of high school, and then decided that wasn't what I wanted after my first year, and I've absolutely loved every minute of it. I'd never visited Purdue, or even I think I'd been to Indiana once in my life before actually committing here, and it's probably the best decision I've made so far in my life. Like I said, I've loved every minute of it. It's been great.
Do you ever think of me when you go to the practice facility and then you see my grandpa's jersey in there?
Can't say I think of you. More about the legend of your grandpa, but maybe a little bit.
You will now. You will now. No, it's a great practice facility, but the cool TBL connection here is my boss David Magley, who runs the president of the league. Painter actually recruited his son, DJ, to go to Purdue back in the day. So I was actually talking to Painter last week. He was talking about going in, but let's talk a little bit, Matt Painter. What's that relationship been like for you, and how fruitful has that been to be under Coach Painter?
Yeah, Coach Payne's been great. I think there's a little bit more of a connection there since I'm a coach's kid, and he always just kind of comes up to me, and I think he kind of expects me to know what he's talking about most of the time in relation to our offense and the team in general. He'll just start talking about certain plays we're running and actions we're doing, and where guys need to be, where they should be, kind of what they're doing wrong, and he just has so much knowledge of the game. So as I want to be a future coach, so I try and just listen to everything he has to say and soak it all up. And yeah, he's probably one of the best basketball minds I've ever been around.
Who do you think's a better basketball mind, your dad or Coach Painter?
Oh man, you just put me between a rock and a hard place.
You don't have to answer if you don't want.
I'm gonna take a pass on that one.
Great call. No, Coach Payne's great. My dad and him played at Purdue at the same time. They're the same age. He's been a great mentor in my life, and we know each other, but not to the level that you see him every day. I probably talk to him 4 or 5 times maybe a year on the phone, and he's just always been so gracious towards me. My boss David Magley always talks about the same thing, how amazing he was towards his son DJ, and he would actually fly down to Bradenton, Florida, like once or twice a month to recruit DJ. So that just kind of speaks wonders to his coaching style and who he is as a person. Have you got to spend any time with him outside of practice?
A little bit with the recruits we had on campus last year. He'd have us over for a couple barbecues, and just seeing him like kind of at his house in a different aspect. Just a very laid back guy. Just loves watching sports, and very relaxed when he doesn't have to deal with basketball and all our sets and everything.
At the Division One level, obviously you went from D3 to D1. What's been the biggest adjustment for you? I know you're not, playing as much as you were at the D3 level, but even in practice, what's that adjustment been like?
There was definitely a big adjustment. In D3 ball, you could not really go as hard as every play as you probably would at the D1 level, and everyone's basketball IQ now is so much higher. Even the guys who barely touch the floor just understand the game at such a high level that it kind of took me a little bit to get how hard you needed to go every single play, every rep. Um, yeah, it's definitely tough as I'm not necessarily as physically gifted as some of the other guys, but that just means I got to go that much harder to keep up with them and kind of hold my own. So it's definitely a challenge, but I like the challenge of it.
Yeah, I know that a lot of people are probably going to listen to the podcast version, but Jared stands at 6'8", 215 pounds.
A little generous, a little generous.
No, I've actually never seen you play. We played a lot of golf together, and from your
Yeah.
golf game, you seem pretty athletic. But do you have any good walk on stories? Any good, maybe you're busting people up in practice stories.
I don't know about busting people up in practice. I'm a big hustle player. Love diving on the floor for loose balls, taking charges, and things along that line. I think I remember one of my first practices there. If you remember, No Jelly Eastern from last year, 6'6", can jump out of the gym, beyond athletic, and I think I probably gained some respect from my teammates last year. I stepped in a transition drill and took a charge on him as he was about to go up and dunk, and ended up getting the call, and he didn't even make the bucket. And I think, like, for me at least, taking that and realizing that it doesn't really matter how big these guys are, and uh, as long as like I'm doing what I'm supposed to, I'm gonna be fine. So that was kind of a cool moment for me, kind of like a induction into practice in the D1 basketball, was just getting run over by a 6'6" guy and getting up from it and kind of winning that little battle. So I think definitely gained some respect from my teammates after that one.
Let's talk a little bit about one of the greatest mixtapes I've ever seen, high school mixtapes. We see a lot of like people send film
I
to
didn't think you
TBL,
were gonna bring it up.
but I'm gonna bring up your greatest mixtape, the greatest high school mixtape of all time. You went to Palo Alto High School. You were the same number as Jeremy Lin, but let's talk a little bit about the charges in that mixtape. The 6 minute long mixtape, and 3 minutes of them are you taking charges.
I wouldn't say it was all charges. I'd say there was a healthy amount of them mixed in there for sure. Um, to be fair, that mixtape got me to Cal Lutheran and it got me to Purdue, so can't complain about it too much. Almost works wonders, some might say. Um, Definitely showcased what I'm all about as a player with charges and threes. Get used to get poked fun at a little bit in high school. My friends would call me instead of a 3 and D player, I was 3 and C for threes and charges. So definitely, still holds true.
Do your teammates at Purdue call you that too, or no?
No, they haven't quite caught on to that. I don't shoot a whole lot here, and so I hit 1 3 last year. So I think I got to hit multiple to be make it a plural.
Yeah, that three. I've we were on the golf course. Good story. And yeah, you definitely remember this. I was asking you. I said, "Hey man, have you ever scored in a college game?" And you said, "Yeah." And 2 seconds later, you had the video pulled up and you're ready to show
Oh
me.
yeah,
So that was.
got that thing locked and loaded.
Let's transition a little bit. Let's talk a little about your dad, which I think is pretty cool. Like I was telling you this morning, I was going over kind of his resume, and your dad's been around a lot of really great pros, a lot of really great college players. Um, he was at California when Jason Kidd was there his first year. Does he ever talk about Jason Kidd and that experience? Even Kevin Johnson, he coached Kevin Johnson
Yeah,
too.
I think at the time Kevin was probably a better player, just with Jason being a freshman. Yeah, my dad loved his experience at Cal Berkeley. Coached under Lou Campanella. Um, One of his best friends to date, Derek Allister, was kind of took him under his wing there. Trying trying to think who else. He coached Jared Haas and recruited him, who now I'm named after Jared, and Jared's now the head coach of Stanford, where my dad's an assistant under him. So it's really cool. My dad's all about relationships and loyalty, and he's definitely kept a lot of those relationships from UC Berkeley, and even to the point where I've become close with those people that he used to be around. So yeah, he definitely cherishes that experience and started as volunteer assistant and ended up becoming one of the assistant coaches, which today's world probably wouldn't happen too often. And then that kind of sprung his coaching career from that point on.
That speaks on his personality too, taking a huge risk like that, and coming into college and really, I mean, a volunteer assistant, that's a tough job because you know how much time goes into the sport. What's been the kind of the favorite place that you've been to that he's taken you to? Obviously, he's had a lot of different jobs over the years. He's done a great job at every place. What's kind of been the best spot for you and the family?
Yeah, he's definitely he coached before I was born, and he was at Berkeley and Illinois State, and then I was born in Bloomington, Illinois, where ISU was, and then at that time he had gotten out of college coaching, so his coaching when I was born took me to Virginia Tech, UAB, University of Alabama, Birmingham, and then Stanford. So I'd say without question, Stanford's been my favorite place by far. That's where I finished my last 2 years of high school, and I just had an absolutely great experience. Met some lifelong friends and a lot of memorable basketball experiences there, and I just loved everything about the city.
Your dad actually recruited a guy. His name's William Lee.
Yeah, haha.
Yeah, haha. My buddy who played at Ancilla with me, who's kind of similar to you. I think he's a tiny bit more athletic. You take a little bit more charges, but he was a walk-on at UAB, and then I'd always see ha on his. Huh?
I can live with that stat.
So I'd always see ha on this thing, and so when I was reading this morning, that was pretty cool. Your dad's he recruits a lot internationally as well.
Yeah.
You talk a little bit about that.
Stanford has one kid, Oscar da Silva from Munich, Germany. My dad went over there, I want to say 2 times to recruit him and meet with his family. And they had another kid, Isaac White, who was from Adelaide, Australia. I'm pretty sure my dad was lead on that recruiting as well. So he's definitely kind of been the one to dip overseas. And I know another one of their assistants has done the same thing, but he's been around college basketball for a long time and has a lot of good relationships with people. So I think that's kind of at this point reached overseas. And I know at Stanford they've started to venture a little bit for those types of players. And even at UAB, he got a kid named Thomas Smallwood who played over in France. So he's definitely he's made an impact both in the U.S. and overseas.
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool to see like a lot of American players are starting to go overseas, and a lot of international players are starting to come here and play. Even with TBL, like we started to partner with Israel, so there's an Israeli partnership where we may take a team over there and they'll play against a couple different teams in the Israel cities. So in that regard, I think that's pretty cool. But let's talk a little bit more Purdue. This will be the last kind of section of the show. Did you have you had any alumni come up to you yet? Maybe a Brian Cardinal, someone like that have you really kind of looked up to so far, or no?
I wouldn't say I've had anyone like that as of now. I think just kind of being my first year, you have to really establish yourself here. I know Tommy Luce did that, and I was able to learn from him last year, and he ended up getting a lot of love, like social media wise, and from former players here. I don't think I've necessarily done what he had done or what he did to kind of get that recognition yet, but nothing but time left to make that happen. And I can't wait to hear from some of these types of players. There actually is one, Bobby Riddell. He was a walk-on here. I've ended up playing pickup with him a couple times with a couple of our grad assistants, and he's really been helpful and kind of just give me a little bit of tips and tricks here and there. And even when we play pickup, just showing me the things that he used to do that worked for him. So kind of giving me the tools that I need to be successful in my role here.
Last question. What's next for you? So you graduate from Purdue. What do you want to do after that? You want to be college coach, pro coach, high
Yeah,
school coach?
definitely want to coach. Just been around it my whole life. My dad, he coached high school, and then by the time I hit about middle school, he got back into college ball, and I really can't picture myself doing anything else other than something along the lines of basketball. I have 2 years. I'm a junior here, so I have this year, next year, and possibly a fifth year that we were granted. Um, so kind of enjoy these last few years of playing, and then hopefully hop into a grad assistant role, whether that's here at Purdue or somewhere else, and then work my way up the coaching ladder. Um, definitely think that's the path I'll end up going. But there's you just gotta keep learning from Coach Payne, our other coaches here, and just soak everything up.
Well, man, you're going to be a great coach one day, but let's see if you can survive the speed round here. Have you seen the speed round yet?
I haven't, but I'm ready for it.
Listen, you want to be on the pod and then you don't even know what the speed round is. I'm a little upset. It's okay.
I've listened here and there. Got a lot going on.
I understand. So the speed round is 1 minute. You got to answer as many questions as possible. The record's 16.
Okay.
Okay. I may come at you with some hard questions.
All right.
All right. What's your favorite place to eat in Palo Alto?
Palo Alto Sol.
The best food spot on campus at Purdue.
Broken Egg.
Favorite place your dad has worked?
Stanford.
What's your go-to date spot?
The Bryant.
Favorite gym in the country?
Gotta go Mackey Arena.
What's your favorite place to visit?
Lake Tahoe.
Best basketball game you've ever seen?
UAB versus New Mexico back in the Charleston Classic in I think 2014.
Specific. What's your favorite movie genre?
Comedies.
Favorite book?
Energy Bus.
Favorite teammate?
Sheesh. Evan Boudreaux.
Who's the best dancer on the Purdue basketball team?
Isaiah Thompson.
Time. That's not bad. You got through 11. That's pretty solid.
Take that.
I've given you some hard questions today,
There's
man.
some hard hitters in there. Tough. You're gonna make me pick my favorite teammate. That's
Welcome to the speed round, man. That's cold.
My teammates now aren't going to be too happy considering Evan's gone.
We can edit that out.
All right, leave it in there.
You just said all of them. Well, Jared, man, I really appreciate you coming on the show today. Thanks to all the listeners that came on. Stay tuned for the Purdue basketball season this year. It's going to be a really good one.
Yeah, appreciate you having me, man. It's always great to talk to you.